Okay. We're ready to go.
Thank you, everybody, for meeting, by the way. I'm excited to see all of your faces, except for you, Peggy, but I know that you're there. So
Yes,
that's
yes, I am.
And Molly, I'm taking roll, so I have that covered.
okay. I need to pull up the agenda, Diane.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, so this is the Wednesday, June 16th, 2021 meeting of the Senior Citizens Committee. We have called to order. Diane is doing roll. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes from August 18th of 2020? I can't believe it has been that long.
I move that we approve those minutes.
Is there a second?
Second,
Great, I think I heard Peggy. So no offense, Glenn. Any discussion about the minutes, corrections, comments? All right, hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
aye.
Any opposed? All right, we can move on to appearances. Are there any scheduled appearances today, Diane?
No scheduled appearances, but I'm not sure if now's a good time to introduce Judy to the committee. I think she knows most, but maybe not all. And welcome Judy Runk, new committee member of the Monona Senior Citizens Committee. Thanks for being a part of our group.
Thank you.
So I don't know if you know Glenn Vosberg,
No, I don't.
but Glenn has been a part of this committee longer than I have worked at the senior center, if you can believe that.
Congratulations, Glenn.
So he knows a lot of history. Do you want to share anything about yourself, Glenn?
No, I've been on it since I was appointed when I was a JC, and that had to be 35, 40 years ago. But it's an enjoyable committee to be on.
And I don't know, Judy, if you want to say anything about yourself, but Judy has been a colleague of mine on the Friends of the Senior Center board for 4+5 years, maybe.
At least,
And
at
she
least 5.
was on the transit commission with me for a few years as well before she stepped down. So I'm glad to have some more committee work with Judy, and I know she'll be a great asset to our team. Obviously, we should probably take a minute to acknowledge that Sarah is not here today. Very sorry to see that she passed in a time that we couldn't really gather together collectively to say goodbye to, to her or to remember her together. So I hope you all know that I was thinking of you and her this past year, and, big shoes to fill. She was a very sweet soul. And if anyone wants to share anything else about Sarah or give Judy a welcome, feel free to take the time now.
Well, welcome, Judy. Big shoes to fill. Sarah was an awesome
Uh-oh.
person. Awesome person.
He sure was.
Thank you. I'll wait to see how I do. But I did not know Sarah.
So Judy, do you know Gwen? I don't know if you know Gwen or not.
I don't think Judy and I've ever met, unless you
Okay.
took Sip and
Gwen-
Swipe.
Yeah. So Gwen is our volunteer coach for the Sip and Swipe program here at the Senior Center, but also, participates here and there, drops off greeting cards and calendars on a regular basis. Do you want to tell us a little more about yourself, your history in Monona? Anything?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, you.
Oh, well, I've lived in Monona for 55 and a half years in the same house. So I've been here a long time, not on the committee, obviously, but a long time in Monona. And I would never leave Monona, even though my next door neighbor, the realtor, is trying to get me to sell my house.
They're trying to get us to sell our house.
Yes.
How about you, Peggy? Do you know Judy, or would you like to introduce yourself?
Peggy McDonald. I do not know Judy, but I know Gwen.
Yes. Yes, we know each other.
And I know Molly.
That's right. Peggy used to be my next door neighbor, but unfortunately she left me a couple years ago. So
Yeah, she just took off.
like a thief in the night.
It's still a good group.
But
And Jim is here representing Newbridge. So Judy, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Newbridge, but we always include Newbridge in our senior committee meetings because they're a big part of what we do. So I'm sure that, Jim, if you want to introduce yourself, you sure can. I think we're going to hear more about Newbridge in a report down the road here.
Sure. Welcome, Judy. I'm Jim Krieger. I'm the executive director for Newbridge Madison. We were 4 senior coalitions before we merged to become Newbridge in January of 2019. And before working for Newbridge, I was the executive director at the Northeast Side Senior Coalition located inside Warner Park. So it's been a pleasure to work with Diane for, we've worked for a few years together, haven't we, Diane? Even before the merger, we did some things together. So this is a wonderful committee, and the Monona Senior Center does some wonderful things for the older adults. It's a pleasure to be part of the collaboration.
Thank you, Jim. I worked with the one on the east side quite a few times in my past.
Great. So you are familiar with what we
So
do
I'm
then.
familiar, yes, I am.
Good.
great. Judy, anything else you'd like to add about yourself before we move on?
Well, other than I've probably been in Monona for 23 years. And what can I say? I don't probably have too much more to say other than I've worked the elections, and you said I was on the transportation committee. My husband was on the transportation committee before me. And I've been at the senior center now for many years. So I don't really know how many, more than 5, but yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, Judy, and welcome. And thank you everybody for, taking the time to introduce yourselves to Judy. I'm sure she really appreciates it. And it's exciting for me to hear too a little bit more about everybody. So, all right. So the next item is new business. And this is a new item that the council and different members of the council are suggesting that each committee or commission puts on their agenda to see if we can brainstorm ideas that we as a senior commission can make any sort of projects or endeavors related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So our city currently has a big emphasis on this. We're working to be a more welcoming and inclusive environment to all types of people. So if anyone has any ideas, this is the first time it's appearing on the agenda, so it could be future ideas, but just be thinking about ways that we can potentially involve, more people of color with the senior center, cater to more individuals with disabilities, all types. But really just looking for ways to engage with people in the community that maybe we're not reaching as effectively as a committee. So keep it in mind. If anyone would like to share about it now, they certainly can. But this agenda item will be appearing on future agendas as well. So just some food for thought about how maybe we as a team can work on some of those goals that our city has related to being more inclusive and equitable and diversified.
And I'll just chime in what the senior center is looking at doing. So over the course of the, past year or several years, we've had presentations from Newbridge case managers. And one of the presentations was talking about the services that Newbridge includes, and they talked about their diversity and inclusion staff. And so I've approached and talked to Jim about how we at the senior center can work more closely with those staff. They do amazing things, great offerings. And I don't think we need to recreate the wheel, but maybe promote what they do to try to bring, those things to the Monona residents as well. So we've just, I've just put my toe in the water here, but looking to work more closely with Newbridge and use the talent that they have there and bring it here to Monona. So, Jim, do you want to talk a little bit more about those two staff and what they do?
Sure. So first of all, I apologize, Diane, because I know we missed the deadline. One of the things Diane and I talked about is Diana's graciously offered to let us highlight our two staff in some upcoming cultural diversity and inclusion staff and upcoming Monona Senior Center newsletters. So I do have the first one, Diane, and I will send that to you. So hopefully beginning in August, we can do that. But we have two wonderful staff in our diversity and inclusion program. And, you know, they have a lot of work because they actually work throughout all of Dane County, not just Madison and Monona. So they are really busy, but with the purpose of the program is to really provide opportunities for, we are working with Black older adults and with Latinx older adults to really be amongst their peers and to have programs and activities that are really tailored towards their specific needs. A lot of it is focused on health education and awareness and exercise. And the programs are open to anybody. But again, the focus is really on meeting the needs and giving information that particular relates to either Black older adults or Latinx older adults. And so Dina Wright is our staff person who works with the Black older adults. If you're familiar with Wright Middle School, that was her father, Reverend Wright. And so she has just been amazing. And she's been with us for about a year now and is incredibly connected in the community and has really been bringing a lot of wonderful programming that we've been doing via Zoom for our Black older adults over the past 6 months or so. And then Garrett Tussler is our staff person who works with the Latinx community. And he is Caucasian, but is fluent in Spanish. He's been with us for about 6 months at this point and doing the same thing with our Latinx seniors in Madison, Monona, and throughout Dane County. And so currently we have about between 150 to 175 older adults who participate in those programs. The numbers are down a little bit, but of course that is because of COVID. And we have not been able to connect with as many Black or Latinx older adults this year as we did in the past. And a lot of them don't have computers or, you know, don't have the ability to set it up themselves. So we're gradually working on that. But the goal is really to help integrate the older adults from the Black and Latinx community more within the Dane County community and to advocate for the needs that they have, in particular for our Latinx friends who oftentimes don't speak English, to advocate the services and programming that help them to age more gracefully, which of course is what we're all about. So this program has been going on since the 1980s. So it's really been going on for a long time. But unfortunately, I think it's one of the programs that, because it's so small, does not get the attention that we would like it to get. And we're working to try and change that. So we're very excited about expanding more into the Monona area and having the opportunity to reach Black older adults and Latinx older adults that we are not currently reaching in the Monona area. So thank you, Diane.
That's incredible. I'm so excited to hear about this and to learn about how we can help you promote the programming or do outreach, in tandem with you. Very excited to hear about it. Thank you so much.
And we're happy for your help as well, too, because there are not enough resources. There are not enough organizations to do the work. So we really need to come together. And I think if nothing else, COVID has really helped that. The organizations before kind of in silos are really spreading out more and working together better than we were before. So that's been very encouraging.
Awesome. Thank you. Any questions for Jim before we move on to the next item in the agenda, folks? All right. Then it's back to me, and thank you for starting the wheels turning on this new agenda item. I'm very excited to keep the conversation going in future meetings. So as far as what's going on with council, we are continuing to partner with Nehemiah in dialogues about how to engage the community in these conversations about equity. On June 1st, we closed on the San Damiano property. So now we have a brand new, beautiful, huge public lakefront park. And so all of you are encouraged to go and to take a picnic, have a seat. You know, if you are a biker, to ride your bike around the property and just, you know, check it out. We are going to start soliciting public input about, you know, how we can make the space accessible and accommodating and place for recreation for everybody in the community. So your voices will be important in just lending some input to those conversations. I'm trying to think of other things. Oh, do you have a question, Judy?
What is the process with the building itself? I understand the land, but about the building?
Yes, great question. So the historic Frank Alice house on the property is not in great shape. I actually had the opportunity to tour it recently, and it was both very cool to see, but, you know, very clear that the building has a lot of work that would need to be done. So first steps from the city's perspective and from the Friends of San Damiano, which is sort of a fundraising organization that's partnering with the city to help raise money to transform the property, will be an architectural study to see, you know, what the building's integrity is like. Is it something that's salvageable? Can we turn it into a public space or a, you know, a retreat center or some sort of repurposing of this historic property, if it's financially and, you know, structurally feasible. So we will be working to get more information about whether it stays, whether it goes, but we're starting that process now that we officially have ownership of the property. We are already getting into budget season, capital budget season specifically. So that is wild that we are in this place again. So I'm sure we'll be having conversations with Diane about those sorts of things moving forward. But, you know, that's a hot topic as well. I'm trying to think of other business. I'm in the middle of a move right now, so I'm a bit frazzled. So I apologize. But really, you know, the San Damiano acquisition is the biggest thing I can think of. On Friday, the city will be having a little celebration of Juneteenth, which is sort of a Black Independence Day, if you're not familiar with its cultural significance. So it's going to start at 1 p.m. at City Hall on Friday. If you're available and would like to attend, it's going to be a sort of a short freedom walk around the City Hall property. And one of our city employees, Toya Harrell, who is our city court clerk, will be singing the Black National Anthem to kick it off. So we've been doing a lot of Pride Month celebrations, you know, as far as resolutions at the city level, San Damiano, capital budget, and just a lot of upcoming events related to parks and city celebrations. So the Monona Community Festival is the 4th of July weekend. We're excited to have that back since last year we were unable to gather in person. And the Friends of the Monona Senior Center concert series also starts in a couple of weeks. And I guess, I don't know if since Stan is not here, he may or may not report on that, obviously, but
Well, I can help you if you'd like.
That's right, you certainly can. So yeah, any specific questions about other initiatives or goings on in the city that you have for me? All right. Well, do we want to kick it to Judy then for the report, Diane, or does that sound
If you're
good?
willing, sure. Judy, if you're willing, go for it.
Great.
Okay.
As Judy
Could I
is
just,
also
could I-
on, yeah.
Hold on a second. Gwen has a question, it sounds like.
for Molly, for you.
Yes.
You know, I don't know what'll happen with that building, but could somebody please keep in mind that the senior center needs space? And wouldn't that be a wonderful place for our senior center? Because there would be more room for programs and for things to go on simultaneously instead of Diane having to figure out how to get all these things. So somewhere in the back of your mind, Molly, will you think about the senior center if the building stays? I mean, I've got a feeling it's going to be incredibly expensive too.
Well, but Gwen, I really do appreciate the reminder. The community center, senior center conversation really gets kicked down the path when we talk about the public safety building, for example, as
Yeah, yeah.
But I think one way or the other, if the building stays and, for example, if Parks relocates there, then that opens up additional space at the community center for the seniors to be active. So, but I think that that's a really excellent point. And I think, it's a good reminder for me to be advocating at the council level for your space and programming needs. And I'm happy.
The other thing I've learned this past winter is that the Madison School District is going to build another school for the children who are currently or who will in the future go to school at Maywood or would potentially go to school at the Maywood School. So if that happens, once again, the Monona Board of Public Education would have a building that would be empty, which would be absolutely ideal for the parks department and the senior citizens. There's a gymnasium in there that would be rentable. And I mean, it's a fabulous building. And I keep promoting it because I think we need it. We need it. We
And
need space.
Nuestro Mundo, is that the building that you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that the lease with the city expires at some point in the near future. And
Not so near, I think 3 more years.
3 more years.
But I know that there's a need for them to have a bigger building because they have so many children there, and they're going to leave Monona and we're going to have an empty school. That would be just ideal for us.
Aren't they looking at WPS as a possibility of a new school?
Well, that's the charter school. So I don't know if that's what they were going to incorporate, if they were going to incorporate this school, this group of children into that facility.
It's called One City Schools, and they will be in that new WPS building. Since it's a charter school, there would be an enrollment process. I don't think it's by nature of not being a public school necessarily, kids would just transfer there directly, but it's possible that some of the students at Nuestro Mundo would go there depending on parent choice. So, but these are really important things. And Gwen, keep your ear to the grindstone, as I like to say. It's your nose, right? The nose to the grindstone.
Nose to the grindstone, yes.
Either way, make sure that you're keeping me abreast of these things because, again, I think oftentimes the senior center and senior programming space gets lost in the shuffle, and I want to make sure that I'm really strongly advocating for that for you. So,
Yay!
Thank you.
Me too. I keep it. Trying to keep it to the forefront because we need space. Thank you. Sorry.
But no, thank you so much for bringing that up. All right, Judy.
Want to talk about the concerts?
Yes.
Okay. The Friends will be sponsoring a July 20th Mark Croft at 6:30 to 8 o'clock. So the next one is July 27th, and it will be Marcy and the Highlights, again, 6:30. We have, August 4th, whatever the Tuesday is. Let me give a calendar. I don't have everything written in front of me, but I will have it in a second.
August 3rd.
August 3rd is going to be the next one, which will be the orchestra from Monona with all the friends. There we go.
Davic and Friends.
That was easier. Then August 10th would be the Wheelhouse. So we have a variety of events coming, and our banner will soon be up. We have it in process, so we will be sharing with it. And Stan and Molly are part of the chairs.
Yeah,
You want to finish it off on Molly about the food carts and
So we are working currently on distributing flyers and other media to promote the concerts. And I have booked all the food carts for all the different dates. August 10th potentially will be, or August 3rd potentially will be National Night Out for Monona, which is when we have all of the public safety and different departments come out to Winnequa Park, and, you know, people can look at the, you know, the fire trucks and, you know, see the police on their horses and things like that. Lots of fun for all. So hopefully we'll be in shape such that we can have National Night Out. That's always a big, you know, a big draw. Oh, who's got the bells?
I'm sorry, it's my clock.
Oh. All right. Thanks.
Love that sound.
And then we will move to Jim with the Newbridge report once we the Tower of London start.
What a nice introduction to my report. The music, huh?
Music.
Okay, so
He's
thank
almost
you.
done.
No worries. So it's been a while since we met. And I guess just quickly to talk about kind of how 2020 finished up. You know, first, you know, we provide case management services, home chore services, and then some outreach for Monona residents, older adults. And, you know, once the how do I say this? From the time the pandemic began to the end of the year, the number of older adults that we helped in Monona increased by 20. So yeah, so there was certainly, you know, a increased need. Certainly access to food was one of them. And, you know, people just being isolated was certainly another one. You know, we saw a significant increase in people experiencing different kinds of mental health issues during that time, you know, certainly being isolated, feeling lonely. And as we're opening up now and getting back into people's homes, we're seeing even more, unfortunately. Because once the pandemic started in March, we only did home visits when it was an emergency. Otherwise, it was phone calls or, you know, via Zoom. And so really there was a long period of time where we did not have face-to-face contact, or we're in the homes of the older adults that we serve. And a lot of changes happened. A lot of people aged, you know, and so we are playing a lot of catch up right now with that. And so it's going to take a while to really understand the complete impact of this. But we certainly have seen some changes. In the first quarter of 2021, of course, when things were really still pretty much closed, we were seeing an average of 46 to 47, or not seeing, but having contact with 46 to 47 older adults in Monona area. And again, I think that's going to continue to increase now that the restrictions have been, you know, lifted. You know, we continue to get a bunch of calls. We actually, during the pandemic, we would take on individuals without really doing a full assessment, because they call and they say, I need food, or I need, you know, their necessities. And we're like, yep, absolutely. So now we're playing catch up, because we're having to go back now and do the assessments to see really what else is going on with those individuals. And we had probably about 70 people right now that we're having to play catch up with, as well as about another dozen during the month of May that called needing help then. So it's going to take a while to get back to where we do not have a wait list anymore. But I just want to let you know that right now it will be probably a month before we're able to get back to people. We're moving as fast as we can. But again, the needs are really great right now, unfortunately. On a positive note, let's see, I think it really started in April of this year, we have a new program, which is a mental health resource program. We received some money from Dane County. Newbridge is staffing a licensed clinical social worker with mental health background and an RN with a mental health background. And they provide assessments and referrals for those who are experiencing mental health issues or substance abuse issues. And this will be a county it'll be a program for all of Dane County. So we don't selfishly just get to have it for Madison, Monona. We have to share. But this is extremely important. This is a program we've really needed since something called the MOST program existed, and that was cut off, probably about 8 years ago. They discontinued funding for it. And they would provide the services now that our mental health resource program is doing. These individuals will really work with the case managers to help them in providing consultation. And then case managers can refer clients who they're thinking, there may be a mental health issue there. They refer them to this program. And if they're appropriate, then our licensed clinical social worker and RN step in and help address the mental health needs that exist. In a lot of cases, these people have not been diagnosed for a mental health issue. And in other cases, there's a wait before they can get in to the mental health services that they need through Journey Mental Health or other places in Dane County. So we're kind of the agency that helps them maintain until they can get into programs. But our case managers were so overwhelmed and did not really have the training. That's not what they're trained to do, that we really needed a new program. And so because of COVID, this program was delayed, but it started in last month, and there are 8 referrals to the program in 1 month, which is very good. Yeah. And that's just going to continue to grow as we check in on the seniors, check on more of the seniors who were isolated during COVID. As far as home tour goes, obviously home tour was not on a complete pause, but it was on a significant pause during COVID. The outdoor home tour services, were maintained during COVID. The snow shoveling happened. Some of the fall cleanup and those things happened, but the indoor home tour services did not happen and are just now beginning to happen. One of the issues we're having is getting volunteers back on board. There is certainly some hesitancy to jump back in, which is completely understandable on both sides. In some cases, it's the volunteers, and in other cases, the older adult just doesn't quite feel comfortable yet having someone come in and do that. So, we basically encouraged our volunteers to get vaccinated. We cannot ask them if they have been vaccinated or not, but we are encouraging that. And if they have not been vaccinated, we're asking them to wear a mask when they go into the home. And the same thing, if the seniors have not been vaccinated or do not feel comfortable, then we're telling them to wear a mask. So we're taking all the precautions. We're encouraging them to keep their distance when they are in the home with the older adult. Because even though people have been vaccinated, it's not 100% foolproof here. So there is still a chance that people could get infected. But we're excited to have that starting up again. A lot of what we did during COVID, when we could, is we hired agencies to go in and do some of the indoor cleaning when we could. But there were a couple months when even those agencies weren't going into homes. So we're finding a lot of messy homes. We're finding a lot of catch up that we have to do there as well. But we wanted to make sure that people were comfortable and that really the public health department was telling us it was okay to do that again. But with that said, the first quarter of the year, we're averaging assisting 24 Monona clients with home tour services. A good part of that was snow shoveling, obviously. But so the service was still there. I guess, are there any questions for me?
Jim, you said that health program you just started, has an RN, and what was the other person?
A licensed clinical social worker.
Okay,
That's really exciting, Jim.
Thank you,
It
Holly.
is.
We are so happy to have that up and running.
So important. I mean, especially always, but as you said, especially in light of the last year and isolation and everything. I'm really
Yeah.
thrilled.
So Diane, basically, if you do have some seniors or anybody in the committee, if there are some seniors, they need to be a case management client. So they would need
Okay.
to contact Newbridge, but they could simply be signed up as a client and then directly referred to the mental health resource program. So,
Okay, good.
right now they're, that we have the capacity to take on more clients because it is so new.
Yeah, good. And the other exciting thing going on with Newbridge is the nutrition program is teetering on congregate meal sites,
Yes.
right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, and I'll let you know too that during COVID, we were still able to do takeout meals at Messiah Lutheran Church. And so we had about probably 40 to 45 older adults that were coming every Tuesday and Thursday to Messiah to get meals. And we also had some people from Monona who were venturing over to one of our other takeout meal sites, which was the Esquire Club on the north side, to get a takeout meal. So that was a hugely successful program. But yes, now it's time, next month anyway, we will be opening up our congregate meal sites beginning the week of July 12th. And that will include Messiah, where we'll be doing Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And does
Go ahead.
it look like Cranberry Creek is no longer doing the My Meal, My Way, but
Yeah, I was just going to
There's
say
another-
that they closed
Okay.
down their restaurant
Oh,
and
really?
they're simply doing catering now.
Ah,
Yeah, and it sounds like the one across the street, and I can never remember the name, is also going to
Monona
close.
Garden?
Yeah, because
Monona Gardens?
they're closing down.
Oh,
They're gonna turn that property, I think, into apartments.
It's, I talked to the individual, Nick, and he says it's going to be quite a while before that happens.
Okay,
So
but eventually because we
eventually it'll happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
we approached them about possibly being the new site, and they said, well, we don't want to commit because, it sounded like there are other plans in mind. So we have established a new partnership, and we will be sending postcards to everybody who participates in our congregate meal sites on the east side with Hy-Vee. And so every Wednesday, we will be able to transport older adults if they need that, or they can drive themselves between the hours of 10 and 1 to have a meal at Hy-Vee. Obviously that would be paid for by Dane County. It's donation based, so people give a donation. That's great. So that's exciting. And for now, that's 1 day a week, but we think it might end up being 2 days a week. Because obviously we're trying to replace not only Cranberry Creek, but also Cuckoos, which was off of Stoughton Road. And we're not going to continue that one on either. They're just too small. And at this point, a lot of restaurants are having a hard time finding help. And so they really can't take that additional burden on right now. I shouldn't say burden, but.
Well, there's the place that used to be the Green Forest on Broadway. Maybe that can be someone you can communicate with. I think it's called Ellie's now.
We reached out to them, Judy.
I
And-
tried.
Yeah, no, they are interested, but again, they don't have the staffing right now. So maybe in the fall or maybe sometime next year, we will look at, potentially opening something up there as well. So no, it's a great suggestion. And if you have any more, we really could use one more location in Monona and or on the east side of Madison that would partner with us on that.
lots of changes you've been dealing with the nutrition program.
We have
Wow.
been juggling places to say the least, but we finally got it finalized and we're very excited. One thing to know is that when we do start back up, we are going to ask the people wear masks at first, at least for the first few weeks, because some of what we're hearing is people are really kind of nervous about coming back. And we will also try and practice the 6 feet distancing between people and tables as well, at least initially. Again, even whether they're vaccinated or not, just simply until people feel comfortable. And then, we will we'll take that away and it'll return back to normal. But we've just been hearing a lot of concerns about that, and we don't want people to not come back. We want them to feel comfortable coming back to a space where they're not worried about catching COVID. So,
Good idea.
okay,
All right.
thank you.
Any other
Yeah.
questions for Jim? That was an awesome presentation. Lots of,
I just wondered if you might like to maybe check into like for Bonies.
So now where is Forboni's now?
It's near the post office behind Angelo's building.
Do they have seating?
They
Very
do have,
limited.
they do have some seating.
It's pretty limited, though.
mostly outside.
Okay.
I would think it would need to be a bigger space, but that's it's a good thought.
Sure.
Julie.
It's got some inside seating as well.
Okay, I'll look into it, Judy, because we, like at Cranberry Creek, we were getting, 40, 50 people. So, we'd want a place that could hopefully accommodate at least close to that.
Forboni's could not,
sure.
though.
I don't
They
think so
couldn't.
either.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
no,
and that was the issue with Kuko's. It was just too small.
yeah.
And, we kind of tried it because we were hoping to really appeal to the Latinx older adults living on the East Madison, Monona side of town, but it's just ended up really being too small of an area.
Does it also include carryouts, Jim, or does it have to be eaten in?
So it's going to be eating in. Yeah, we kind of talked about that. We aren't going to have the staffing to really do that either, because we don't have all of our volunteers coming back who helped us at these various sites. So that would really just put too much of a burden on our staff, especially initially when they're also just, when we reopen this, there's going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be, just a lot of issues going on. So we're not going to do the carry out initially.
Okay. That may limit you a little bit, Jim.
Yeah, it may. We may not get quite.
At least for a while.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, thank you.
All right, kicking it back to Diane with the senior center report.
Okay, so yes, it has been a while since we have met. I'm curious what the reactions are from this committee on the revamped reports that we've been sending. So since the pandemic, we've gone to a quarterly report, and we've done something a little more like pictures and fewer numbers and a little bit more of a story. So it's been kind of fun being a little creative and not really doing all numbers. So any thoughts on, is this what you want to see? Does it tell a better story? Should we tweak anything? What's your opinion on that?
I liked it. Fewer numbers, but more of the story and the color and it just was a nice report. Really liked it.
Okay,
I can't say I memorized it, but
no,
you know.
not necessary. Well, it was also a hard time to report on things because
Yeah.
we didn't have the numbers, right? So what are we doing? So we had to be creative as far as how to say that story, and yeah, kind of share what we've been up to. So
Sorry, I really like it, Diane. And I think, in the various capacities in which we've discussed how to make it more of, like a narrative style, I really feel like you've taken the feedback that you've received from others and incorporated that well.
Okay.
What I like about it is that it kind of looks like you stuck Post-it notes, with like highlights, and I think that that's a very easy way to follow key points and just sort of get the overall gist without getting too in the weeds, about details that maybe aren't necessarily as important to the average person.
Okay.
But I would say I agree with Gwen. I like it a lot.
Good. Probably takes us just as much time to put it together, but we use fewer words. So,
Summarizing is hard, right? That's always the hardest part.
right, right. Okay, good. So wanted to get your feedback on that. So thank you for that. Last year's capital budget included new signage for the senior center. And if you haven't been to the community center yet, you can, it's very hard to deny that we exist anymore because we have signage all over the place.
Yes, yes, yes.
So it's been great. And we have had, especially in the past month or two, so many people who just walk in and they said, oh, I saw your sign for the senior center. I thought I'd walk in and see what this is all about. So we've been in existence for how many years and people just never found us. But it's funny, it took like changing our entrance door to back here and publicizing that. So it's really made a difference. I think I'm pretty pumped about that. Tough to promote where you are when you're in the basement in the back of a building, but we're getting there. So good job on the signage recommendations. You guys did great with that. Regarding opening up and, we've been doing limited things as, you've seen in our reports, starting with essential services, going to very small group with the masks and social distancing. And we're looking into July, pretty much bringing everything back, but in limited frequency. So instead of euchre every week, it's every other week. I try to tell people we cannot just flip that switch, turn on the light, and we're back to the way it was. Like, none of us have the capacity to be ready for that. And we're having the same challenges that Jim is having with volunteers. Some, when we approach them, things have changed. They've declined physically, priorities have changed. The pandemic brought out some like, boy, I started taking care of myself and that's what I need to focus on now. We have a few new volunteers, but certainly isn't taking the place of the volunteers that we've lost. And we've also had many volunteers scale back. So instead of every week, I'll come back a couple times a month. So we're revamping the whole volunteer slate, trying to figure all that out, replacing and recruiting volunteers to try to get back to where we were. So taking time, like Jim was saying, this is all going to take a little time to get there, but we will. We'll keep working on that. Yeah, so July will bring back card groups, which has been the big ask from many seniors. We really are not open until they can play euchre for some people. So euchre will begin in July, just a couple times a month. And, we as well are kind of gauging the comfort of our participants. Some are ready to come in, some are hesitant. The philosophy here, mainly for the whole city, but especially here at the senior center, is we will mirror the comfort level of our participants. So if you walk in with a mask, we're going to put our mask on, and just, be there. And it's kind of a funny game of, oh, you don't have to do that for me, or yeah, no, we're going to do this, but some people are just wearing it to see if they have to wear it or take it off once they get in. So it's an interesting time feeling people out and getting comfortable again, and getting our volunteers back to being comfortable. We've introduced virtual programming. Volunteers are not used to getting email addresses for anything. So at the end of this month, we're going to do a volunteer training and just bring them back to this is what things are like now, and get them going in July. So that's kind of a, an overview of what's going on at the center. Mahjong used to meet at the library, and they're not doing outside groups yet, so not doing that quite yet. And looking at we were using church spaces in the areas, looking into their availability now as well. So yeah, any questions for me on what we're up to and going forward?
Can I
Managing.
start bringing calendars?
You can. Yep, we have magazines here. People can grab magazines. You know, in this month in June, we're doing a lot of outside activities. So tomorrow we're doing an ice cream social. And if this is any indication of how much people want to get out, we have 80 people registered to meet at the park. And we have had to turn people away. 80 makes me a little nervous. That's a big group. So we want everyone to be able to park. So we're kind of keeping it at 80. So they're ready, especially outdoors, to be together. And we're seeing our virtual stuff dropping a little bit just because they're out, people are out and about, they're traveling. So exciting time. We're being cautiously optimistic, and taking it one step at a time.
Great. Thanks, Diane.
And I add one more thing that's coming up. We're going to have a dance on October 3rd at the East Side Club. It's sponsored by the Friends of the Monona Senior Center. So we'd love to have you help us with the attendance. It always makes a difference in how much money we can earn to continue to support the Monona Senior Center. The band is Marcy in the highlights, if anyone's interested.
Well, I guess that counts as miscellaneous business, Judy. Any other thoughts or, business items that people would like to share? I think one thing that Diane and I wanted to ask while we have everybody here is preference about future meetings, if you want to get back together in person, if that would be your preference, or if you would like to continue to meet virtually. So I know we're looking for feedback on that from you as well.
I hate Zoom. I want to meet in person.
Got it. How about you, Glenn?
Yeah, I'm more of a meet in person type person too.
That was kind of what we were anticipating. So hopefully our next meeting, depending on, everybody's availability and comfort level, we can do it together, in person.
And we will likely need to set a July meeting date, which we'll chat about, and then we'll get that out to you guys soon. Our capital budget information is due very early, Friday, August 6th. So we'll have to meet in July to kind of get that in place. It might, yeah. So capital budget we've never had limits before. So it might be a little different this year because they're setting limits for each department head or each department this year. So we'll have to talk about that. But for the next meeting.
But hey, we got our signs. We got the signage up.
Yes,
A+.
we got it.
Great.
Okay.
Any other comments or discussion before we adjourn? Diane, did you have anything else that you wanted to share?
I don't think so. We're pretty good. Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, thanks to everybody. Jim, great to see you. It's so funny. It's like seeing the agenda and just remembering all the pieces of information that we were going to get to talk about today was really exciting. I've missed you all, and I look forward to seeing you again in just a month. And we'll get in touch soon about the meeting date. All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move, we adjourn.
All right.
Second.
All right. All in favor? You can give a thumbs up or an eye or a wave.
Aye.
All right. Adjourn. Bye. See you, Peggy.
Okay, yes. It's good
Bye-bye.
to get back.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.